Hey guys, this is going to be a part 2 to my home server stuff. I'm just going to go over what I'm running on my home server, what I like about it, what I might add in the future, and it's going to start with my dashboard. I am currently using Heimdall, and I'm doing my best not to laugh because I wanted to change my background image, and I didn't realize it was going to look this bad. But I'm going to go ahead and start with probably the most substantial part of this whole thing, and this is my Proxmox instance. I'm going to go ahead and showcase that. Let me go ahead and log in here. And so I've got a few things running in here. I've got a WireGuard tunnel that allows me to come back into the home network. I have a SyncThing instance, which I will showcase a little bit later. I have a Nextcloud instance, which I will also show off. What I really was interested in showcasing here is my macOS virtual machine. And what I really like about this macOS virtual machine is that it allows me to send text messages from my Calyx OS phone. And I've talked about this in a previous video as well. So I just wanted to show you what that looked like. Assuming I can remember the password, give me a second. There we go. So right here is my Monterey macOS virtual machine. I currently have given it just 2 cores, 4 gigs. It doesn't need that much because its only purpose is to send text messages. I'm using Blue Bubbles right now, which I find to be the best service for me. I know a lot of people like AirMessage? Yeah, I know a lot of people like AirMessage, but Blue Bubbles has served me pretty well. I would like to get a different macOS version, maybe Catalina or Ventura. I know both of those have a little more features built into them, but right now Monterey is the only thing I can get my hands on. It does use Google to ping your phone so that you can receive notifications. So I did have to sign up for a, I believe it was a Google Firebase account. And so it is a shame that I can't run this completely without using cloud services, but I'd rather have a more reliable text messaging system with as few compromises as possible. So I, at the end of the day, don't mind using Google Firebase for this. It's not too hard to set up if you are already experienced with Proxmox and have a little bit of time to set up a Mac virtual machine. It did take a little bit to get up and running with the Mac virtual machine, and I did have to use my MacBook to get an instance of Monterey to put on here, but if you're looking for a solution that lets you text people with iMessage without needing an iPhone all the time, I highly suggest this. This has been really reliable for me. I haven't needed a Mac to run this, so there's no extra built-in cost there. I'm the only one out of my family and friends that doesn't use an iPhone, so it's kind of awkward to make people use Green Bubbles just for me. So I found this to be kind of like a healthy compromise, kind of a halfway point. The only thing is that it's tied to my Apple ID and not my phone number. So sometimes I get added to a chat with my phone number because that's what comes on hand for them. And I just have to remind them, hey, use my Apple ID instead. And with the current version I'm on right now with Monterey, I can't actually create group chats on my own. I can only be added to them. So this kind of exacerbates that problem. And I kind of have to say, hey, can you remake this in iMessage? And so sometimes they do it, sometimes they don't. So it can be kind of a hit or miss, but I really like this as a service. It's good for texting individual people. I am able to start chats with individual people. I just generally like the ability to have this all running through a server because it means I can have a client on my laptop, on my desktop, on my phone, so I can get my messages from everywhere. All right, so that was my Proxmox instance. Going on to my Rancher instance. I have this running on a Ubuntu virtual machine on Proxmox. Let me sign in here real quick. Okay, well, clearly I don't remember my own password, so it's kind of a hit or miss if I remember the password or not. If I use the service enough, then I typically remember the password. Otherwise, I use a password manager for this kind of stuff. Okay, so here is my Rancher instance. I don't have the newest version because I was having issues getting that one up and running. It just wouldn't let me make my own cluster. And so I found that this version of Rancher has suited my needs, 2.4.17, I believe. Yeah, 2.4.17 has been working just fine for me. I do want to upgrade in the future and get used to the new UI, but I really wanted Rancher to work from the get-go because I wanted to learn more about Kubernetes and this kind of management. Portainer just was a little too simple for me. So on my Rancher instance, I have a few containers running right now. Some of them were running on Proxmox, which is why you don't see them here, like SyncThing and Nextcloud. It was kind of a toss-up whether or not I decided to put it on Rancher or Proxmox. There was no method to the madness. I just kind of did it when I felt like it. I really liked Turnkey on Proxmox, so that was pretty simple for me. But on this Rancher instance, I have Heimdall running, I have a Plex instance, and I also have a Webtop. You might not know what this is, and I'll show you in just a second. It's been really useful for me. It's a very specific use case, but I've been working on Pi-hole. I've been trying to get Pi-hole up and running, but I'm still running into some issues, so maybe next time I give you an update, I'll have gotten around to fixing this. But the Webtop thing is really cool, and that's what I'll be showing you next. I'm going to skip over Nextcloud. I'm sure most of you who know about this stuff have seen Nextcloud, but here is my Webtop. It uses Guacamole, and it's this pretty basic thing, but it's an entire desktop running in a container. Not a virtual machine, a container. And I have everything I would want from a regular operating system. This is a full operating system right here. I believe this is Ubuntu KDE. I've found this one to be the most comfortable experience for me. It's surprisingly not too slow. Let's see here, yeah. YouTube takes a little bit to load, but it's not bad. It has a very specific use case for me, and I'll be showing that in just a second. What I really like about this is that I'm able to run it on my Raspberry Pi 400. What I don't like about the Raspberry Pi 400 is A, it only has, I believe, 4 gigs of RAM, and B, it just takes way too long to load some stuff. Like, YouTube takes way too long to load on a Raspberry Pi. You know, I thought I'd be able to use it for basic web browsing, but it feels way too slow. And so what I've been doing is I've been using this on my Raspberry Pi and just completely using my Raspberry Pi as a bootloader for this Webtop, which actually runs on my server. Alright, I'll come back to Nextcloud since it's probably worth looking at that now. It's nothing special. I know most of you have already seen Nextcloud before, but for the sake of making this a full and complete tour, I will go ahead and show you what that looks like. So yeah, I don't have anything crazy on my Nextcloud right now. I don't have too much storage on here either, because I'm still kind of working on storage stuff. But I've gotten a few apps and add-ons that allow me to have a Google-like environment where I can create a new document and it'll host it on here and I can treat it like Google Docs. I found it to be sufficient for me. I really like it. There we go. I was like, it's not loading, it's making me look bad. So here's Nextcloud. Here's, you know, kind of my Google replacement. I like the way it looks. I sometimes use the calendar feature. I have a synchronization with my phone. That's another thing I like about my Calyx OS phone, is that because I'm not on Apple, I can synchronize this with really no crazy issues. So I might get more use out of this in the future, but as of right now, it's kind of a nice way to just do some quick file sharing among computers on my network and just kind of have some calendar and news and just in a nice organized place. All right, moving on to my Plex instance. I kind of, oh, I'm not gonna remember this. Oh, hold on. Okay, here we go. So yeah, I don't have anything on this Plex instance yet. I'm still setting it up because I'm trying to get it to work with a Samba share on TrueNAS, but I've been running into some issues, so I've been hammering those out for the last few days or so, just in my free time to figure out how I could get this working. But once I do, I probably will start loading my media on here for me and my family to be able to enjoy. But Plex is kind of cool in the sense that it gives you a lot of stuff to start with, so it's not completely empty going in. You do have a few things there, but I haven't actually tried any of this because, you know, I don't really care too much. What's also kind of cool is you can get some live TV as well. I don't know if any of these shows are actually any good, but they're here, so I guess if you're bored and you had literally nothing else to do, then you could watch this. Alright, moving on, I have my sync thing, which is being hosted on Proxmox. Okay, so it's prompting me for username and password. I gotta figure out what I did there. Okay, there we go. So, as of right now, I'm only synchronizing my KeePass passwords file so that my phone and my laptop can be updated. That's all I really need it for. I don't need it for much else because I have Nextcloud and I also have TrueNAS, and so this is really just for the simplicity of not having to re-download the KeePass file and update that manually all the time. So it's a little spotty, like sometimes my phone will just kind of connect and disconnect for no reason. So it's a little bit of a work in progress, but it works just fine and it updates itself. So I don't have any issues with it, and it just kind of goes on in the background. Okay, and lastly, I have the TrueNAS core that is running on my server in Proxmox. I am running TrueNAS core because even if it is BSD based, I've heard it's more stable. Get my password here. Right now, I'm running my only pool in a RAID Z2 because I bought some used hard drives off of eBay and I wanted the redundancy. So that's what I'm doing right now. If there's two things I absolutely do not like about computers, it's having to pay for software and having to open up the computer to replace hardware later. So I ended up buying this case with hot swappable bays. What I like about this case is it gives me a very clear upgrade path of where I can add new drives, how I'm going to replace them, how to upgrade my ZFS pool, and it just saves me the hassle of trying to open up the case and unplug and plug in new hard drives. I just really do not like working with hardware, so this was kind of the best compromise for me. So yeah, that's kind of a rundown of what I'm running on my home server right now. It's still a work in progress, but I'm pretty proud of what's come of it so far. I highly recommend you go check out some of the HomeLab channels on YouTube. People like Techno Tim, Wolfgang's channel, Christian Lempa, Raid Owl, all very good resources, people that have really helped me get this thing up and running. I'm not an expert by any means, but with their tutorials and their advice, this was all super easy for me. A lot of the HomeLab channels do have blogs or are on Reddit, so if you need extra documentation, it is there, and it is very helpful. So that's my advice to anyone who's looking to get started on a HomeLab. Once again, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.